People who are successful and productive and happy and loving and serving the world, well, they just got lucky. And that's absolutely not true. If I was to deconstruct it, they study a lot. They have great mentors. They work really, really hard. So you don't get lucky, you create lucky. The most successful people in world-class lives don't come from talent. Lots of good research on that now. They actually are not genetic. You know, if you look at Beethoven, you look at Jean-Michel Basquiat, you look at Aristotle Onassis, you look at the moonwalkers, you look at great musicians, you look at any industry titan. These people, it was less about talent and it was more about grit. Grit is that resolve where you, through practice every day, you do what you say you will do. That's what resolve is. You know, flaky performers, it's like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to build a business. Yes, I'll help you. Yes, I'll do this for you tomorrow. Yes, I'll deliver this. And it's all talk, less do. So if you look at world class, it is less about your genetics and it's more about your habits. That's really the basis of talent, having good daily habits, like joining the 5 a.m. club, like, you know, running the 5 great hour rule that I talk about in the Circle of Legends, my monthly mentoring program, where if you look at the research, you know, it doesn't make any sense to work more than 5 intense world-class hours every day. I call it the 5 great hours concept. And then after that, go get a massage, take a nap, read a book, go for a walk, hang out with your family. It's not about the hustle and grind. You know, really, world-class performance is less about working really hard 24/7, and it's more about working really hard when you work and then taking the time to recover and rest. And if you look at one of the models I teach in my mentoring methodology, it's called the twin cycles of elite performance. You'll see that there's the high excellence cycle, the HEC, and then the DRC, the deep recovery cycle. And every day, work for 5 hours, the 5 great hours concept, and then pull back and have fun, rest, renew. And then every week, take a weekend off. Every month, try to take a week off. Every year, try to take two months off. And the interesting thing is, number 1, rest is the elite performer's secret weapon. Number 2, this is so important. If you want to get more done, take more time off. Because if you're working 24/7 in a linear way versus like a pulse, what starts to happen is you erode and deplete your genius. And in my methodology, I teach the 5 assets of genius, including mental focus, physical energy, 3, personal willpower. But just remember, if all you do is work, you're going to empty your batteries. You're going to deplete your well. And that's why the smartest performers, you know, the great athletes, the great industry titans, the great humanitarians, these people all have learned one thing: work in cycles. If you were to look at the great weightlifters of the Olympics, they all had one thing in common, and it was periodization. Periodization. And periodization simply means they worked, they exercised, and then they rested. I remember watching a Mike Tyson documentary. It was excellent. He said, you know, when I was heavyweight champion of the world, I only did 3 things. I trained, I ate, and I slept. I've talked to so many people who say, well, you know, I must become an expert before I go out there and launch my business. I must become an expert before I go out there and whatever, write that book, create that movie, launch that movement. Well, every amateur, every professional was once an amateur, and every master was once a beginner, right? And so please remember, there will never be a better time to step into the performance and the human being you've always wanted to be than today. One of the greatest pitfalls I've seen in having worked with so many people over a quarter of a century teaching leadership and elite performance is that people postpone their greatness and their eminence to some distant time in the future when they're going to have more time and the stars will align. And that is one of the greatest mistakes that you could possibly make. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, right? And you do not want to be one of those people who, on the last day of their lives, they were full of regret because they didn't do what they knew they could have done. You are worthy. There are no extra people on the planet today. Every single one of us is born into a unique genius. Only you have the fingerprints you have. Only you have the characteristics you have. Only you have the strengths that you have. You are so unique on a planet of how many billions of people. The thing that happens is we lose our confidence as we get hurt and disappointed by life. And a lot of us, what we do is we shut down and we contract and we protect our once tender, open hearts versus going out into the arena and sharing our gifts in full blazing glory. Please do not think you are unworthy of domain dominance. Please don't think you're unworthy of becoming best in the world at what you do if you sacrifice, train, learn, work with mentors, find the right talent hub, and then optimize your craft every single day until you reach best in the world. A lot of talk these days about legacy, work in a way that leaves a legacy. 22 years ago, I wrote a book called Who Will Cry When You Die, and it was all about legacy. And back then, I was 34 years old, long time ago. And I used to talk so much about legacy. Live in a way that you live in the hearts that you leave behind. That's really the answer. Now, with a little white grizzle, I don't think legacy matters. I think legacy is like trying to get your name on a hospital wing or a monument built after you. I think it's a pursuit of the ego. The real key is not to worry much about how you'll be remembered, but the real key, I suggest to you with great love and respect, is living fully and greatly while you are alive. Because once you're dead, you're dead. You're just a pile of dust. What did the benevolent and great Roman general and warrior and emperor Marcus Aurelius say? Alexander the Great was buried next to his stable boy. We don't matter after we're gone. So I don't think you should. I think it's such a myth to be concerned about legacy if you're trying to live a world-class life. Worry about being world-class while you're alive. Be concerned with optimizing your craft while you have a beating heart. Be concerned with caring for the brothers and sisters on this little planet and standing for honesty, honor, grace, and love. Leave every person you meet better than you found them. And the irony is, if you do that, you will leave a legacy, even though it's not your intention. As a matter of fact, I'd suggest to you, if your focus and energy is on building a legacy, your focus and energy is off living in a way that will create a legacy.